Guten Erev Shabbat Kodesh. When I grew up, one of the great things in yeshiva was an Erev Shabbos, where you go to Meir Sharim. Hadar Gula was just starting at that point also, and you'd go to the olive wood factory to buy the shtender. And on the shtender, you always had the question, which pasuk is going to be your focus? It's going to help build your ashkafa when you're learning Torah to remember. Therefore, some of the classic ones were Shiviti Hashem L'Negdi Tamid, or the fun story which I always like to tell when I was in the Grus Kollel, is there was a guy, there's a rabbi in Barayin now, that put the pasuk on his shtender, Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, Kach Lecha Samim. So, hopefully he's a good educator now, or hopefully in business, and not educating our students. But with all seriousness, one of the major psukim we find in our second parsha this week, which is Kedoshim to you. It would be one of my top three for sure. Kedoshim to you. That should be our focus when we're trying to be aspiring B'nai Torah both in yeshiva and out. And Rashi comes and says Kedoshim to you. What does it mean? What does it mean to be Kedoshim to you? So Rashi comes and says you have to be parush from arayot and from all the avirot. Parush means to be separate. The Sifsei Chachamim already says what's bothering Rashi is that Parush, how to be separate and elevated, if you will, you'd be active, almost like Zachor, to put on tzitzis, that put on tefillin. It's clear that you're different. But here you're being passive, you're sitting. And that's the Chiddush according to Rashi. No. When you're staying away from the Arayot, that in itself shows that you're different. The Ramban quotes this Rashi, also a Torah Kohanim, and he says, I think it's different. The Ramban comes, and I implore everybody, every single year, to go over this Ramban. The Ramban says that the idea is that to be Kedoshim to you is to enjoy the world. Kadesh atzmacha b'motalach, but make sure not to be a naval b'rshut HaTorah, not to be a scoundrel with the OU Mahadrun Hechsher, which means you have this idea of things that are usher, so that's obviously, you can't have pig. That was last week's Parshat Shmini, or a couple of weeks ago. The idea of Kedoshim to you is to be able to know that there's a danger. There's a danger of the excess, of the going all you can eat. So you're not going to have one succulent steak and a good bottle of wine, you're going to have 17. That is this concept of Naval B'Rshus HaTorah. To be able to sanctify yourself, to be able to be mitzamtzim, to enjoy, to be kadosh, but be able to have that balance, or even just to limit yourself that way. The Chiddush of the Ramban, which is so beautiful, is he applies this to Dibor also. Many times you have high school young men, and unfortunately as people continue getting older, if they haven't refined their speech, where do I know that I can't curse? The Ramban says that's Kedoshim to you. How you speak, how you eat, this is a fulfillment of the mitzvah aseh of Kedoshim to you. To the point that the Ramban says that even though later on in our parsha it says V'it kadishtem v'item Kedoshim, that the Gemara Chulin says V'it kadishtem is the Mayim Rishonim, the Netilat Yadayim before the Suda, V'yu Kedoshim is the Mayim Achronim, which is clearly rabbinic, but it helps really sandwich this idea. And according to the Ramban, possibly it's a Kiyum D'Oraisa, meaning when you're going to eat a meal, great, you're doing it, you're making brachos. But if you sandwich it with washing your hands and being able to be kadosh, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to elevate myself. I'm not going to be a naval b'rshus HaTorah. I'm not going to have that excess, which in our world, thank God, we have so much bracha. It's definitely a challenge. So that's the Ramban. I want to end off with the Shar Yosher. The Rav Shimon Shkop in his Akdama and Shar Yosher quotes the Ramban, and he quotes the Medrash, and he says, I got one problem with this unbelievable Ramban. He says that the Medrash says, it says, Daber kol adat b'nei Yisrael, Kedoshim to you. Why? Ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem. Comes the Midrash, there are other interpretations, is that there's a Havamina, Yochol Kamoni. I might think I'm telling you to be kadosh. You can reach the heights of the Ribono Shel Olam, of the infinite God. Tamalom or not? Ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem. You can't reach the transcendent. Ask the Shari Yosher if the Ramban's definition is correct. then it's to be lemala mina motarot, to not have that excess. Somebody quoted Rabbi Targum to me this week, an old student of his, that when he taught the Kedoshim to you many, many years ago, he would say it's like eating that chocolate and then not just finishing the chocolate, but licking the wrapper, right? Licking that wrapper. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't lick wrappers. So what's the havamina yochol kamoni? Because of that, the Shar Yosher gives a third definition for today, and this I'm concluding. He says the whole concept of Kedoshim to you is that in everything that you do, the physical, the spiritual, you're thinking of the other. You're understanding that my ani is not limited to just myself. The Yismach Moshe b'matanas chalko, it's a real simcha because I realize the chilik I have is ki even neman parasalo. It's from God. And comes the Shar Yosher to explain. The havamina there is, I might think I could take that to the extreme, that when I don't take care of myself, all I care about is be like the Ribono Shalom. He created the world to be good to others, so too. All I am is be Mr. Giver. I'm giving to everybody. That would be saintly. That would be Gewalt. I'm going to be so chloe. I'm sitting right behind me is Rav Druckman Zatzal, and the peanut Rav Druckman. Literally the Adam of Hineni, and I'm moister to the klal. So maybe that should be there, like Rav Druckman was known to sleep for 2 hours a night. That's what it should be. Comes the Midrash to say, no. Yochel kamoni, that you shouldn't take care of yourself at all and just care about others. Tamalor, that's ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokecha. Only God could be so klali. You, imin, and that's what he explains the mission in Perkei Avos of Hillel. Imin anili, mili. You definitely have to take care of yourself. You have to eat right. You have to be able, it's funny I say that, you have to try to eat right and take care of yourself. Okay? But then, but if you're only for yourself, when you're taking care of your physical needs, you also have to care about others. Imin anili, mili. If I'm just for myself, then what am I? I have to continue making the ani, caring about my community, besides also my family, and then caring about Am Yisrael. We're right in the middle now, between Yom Ha'atzmaut and Yom Yerushalayim. What a time to continue to be focused on the Kedoshim to you, not only on a personal level, like Rashi says, but the Ramban of the Klali of Kedoshim to you, and watching how we're talking. It's such a loaded time now for Am Yisrael, such a special time, especially as the Shar Yosher says, Kedusha, in all realms, to make sure that the ani, take care of myself, but I also care within myself. It's about the klal, and with that, Ezrat Hashem will fulfill Kedoshim to you. Shabbat Shalom.